evening. Kathy Beatty here with Divorce Support Anonymous, trying to get all my bearings here with all my little banners and music and whatnot. Welcome. It's Friday night, Facebook Live, and I am thrilled that you are here. Really thrilled, because this part of the year, the beginning of the year, we want to get things in order. We want to start getting organized. For many of you, this is your first year being single, and you need to organize things to be moving forward in a good direction. For those of you who are going through divorce, this also is going to be helpful because it's going to help you get organized. Couple of announcements, and then I'm going to bring in the fabulous Mr. Peter Letzman, who was with us last week. And there were so many, such good responses, and a lot of people watched. So I thought this is a topic that's really important to folks. So we want to make sure that we cover this and help you and guide you and get you through the financial upheaval that you're going through along with divorce. Couple of announcements. First, I do want you to know that you can ask questions tonight. Peter Letzman is a mediator. He has mediated thousands of cases, very well established, an attorney. So if you have any attorney questions, he may be open to those as well, but we do want to keep this more to the financial side. And he also has taught financial peace for the past 10 to 12 years, with doing it a lot of times. So he knows his stuff, and we are so honored and privileged to have him here this evening. So if you have a question, feel free to, you can comment, make a comment, you can send a text. I have my phone right here. If you want to send me a text at this number with a question, we could do that. If it's something that you'd like to ask in person, you're welcome to give me a call, and we'll put the phone by the microphone and we will ask the question, and you can be as anonymous as you would like in doing that. So write down that number. Be sure that you call, text, or put in a comment as a question. And the questions that you have, other people have as well. Couple more announcements. Virtual groups are going to start here locally in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I'm at, January 12th. We'll do it in person. So far, so good. And then January 20th, we will begin another virtual group. So I've had people from all over the country, and you are certainly welcome to join us as well. Single Moms Virtual Camp, Winter Camps, coming up 18th through the 22nd. Please connect with me and get registered for that. All right, so I want to put this verse up here so we know, keep it in mind as I bring in and introduce our guest this evening. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Kathy. Thanks for inviting me back.
Oh, goodness, thank you.
I'm flattered.
Well, we are honored to have you and all of your brilliance. So we do want to be available for questions, and I know you're gracious enough to come on. And also, I don't think that there's a question that could throw you. So we do want those questions to come in if you have them financially or whatever. So I put up here the rich rule over the poor, the borrower is slave to the lender, as just a reminder of one of the many reasons why we want to get our finances in order. So with that, let me start. I know that you're going to do the majority of the speaking today, unless I jump in. Talk to us, Peter, first, of why is it important? We're doing inventory tonight. Why is it important that we do inventory?
Because there is life after divorce. For most of us, there is life after divorce. And for life after divorce, we have to have a end game, a plan. Where do we want to finish? And finances, of course, is an integral part of where we want to finish. We want to have enough money so that we have a comfortable retirement and all of those other things that are necessary for life after the divorce. But only the puzzle, or the piece of the puzzle of the end game that we want to talk about tonight, is taking an inventory, or an inventory of our belongings. And this is maybe you may want to put the end game aside a little bit. If you're in the trauma of the actual divorce, it may be overwhelming. So just focus on the inventory. If you're overwhelmed. So what I want to do tonight is to inspire your viewers that whether they're contemplating a divorce, whether they're in process of taking the divorce, that the inventory is just part of the end game that they will have. And there are specific reasons why you should take an inventory of your belongings. And the first reason, number one, is to determine what you and or your family has. Is it property that you need? Is it functional? Does it serve a purpose? Do you really want it? Or do you need it? Does it give you some emotional good feelings? Those are all justifications for keeping property, but know why you're keeping it. If you don't have a reason for keeping the property, it's self-evident. It's just taking up space. Get rid of it. You talk about the garage and the clutter. This is kind of a takeoff on your garage segment there. Now take a look. Is it property? Number two, is it property that you need and want, that you don't want to have destroyed or lost by some calamity? And that means you want to insure it. You want to protect it. And of course, the insurance company will ask you, well, what do you want to insure? And so you should have an inventory of those items that you want to insure. Yes, some of those generally come with household furnishings. Some items, jewelry, for example, have to be on a special list that the insurance company wants. So to protect your property, that's a second reason for your inventory. A third reason for your inventory is to determine your or your family's net worth. And what I mean by that is, what if you put all of your belongings, all of your valuables together, and you have an amount, $10 million, and then you take a look, what are your debts? $3.49. So you see your net worth is, it looks really, really good.
What if it's the other way around?
I'm exaggerating here a little bit, Kathy, but in most cases, 90% of the cases, I find when people go through that exercise, for example, if they took a look at the value of the house, their retirement, they're worth more money than they think they are. And you may not be in as dire straits as you are. So determine your net worth by calculating what you have. Take a look at what the replacement cost is or the market cost is, and do that calculation.
Let me ask, or let me just interject here, Peter. This is not just for the wealthy. This is for all of us.
Absolutely. The net worth calculation, whether you do it or your bank does it, they're going to take a look at that. If you're going to go for a mortgage, if you're going to go for a car loan, they're going to take that's part of your credit report. They take a look at what you own, and they take a look at what you owe. So own and owe determines your net worth, and it's more than just for feel good sake. It's for your future financial planning, especially if you're going to go get a mortgage. Mm-hmm. Okay, the fourth thing that I have.
Whoops, sorry.
We're not there yet. Hold on. The fourth thing that we have is if you are contemplating divorce, if you're in the middle of the divorce, or if you are emerging from a divorce, you should know what you have. And to be able to decide what is his, what is mine. And do you equalize the value? And that is sort of the basis of negotiation. I had one couple that blows my mind. She said, well, I'm going to keep the house. He's going to keep the stock. And I asked, do you know the value of? She said, no, we don't care. We're just going to do it. And I'm going, duh, who's giving what away?
Right.
If they don't care, if they're comfortable with that, bless them, let them go on. But it's to have a good negotiation you should make a knowing negotiation and know what your assets are, know what you have, and kind of star or check mark those things that you really want. Maybe you want the grandfather's clock. Maybe you want that Oriental rug or so on. So have those things marked. So the inventory, that's my fourth item, is important for the negotiation when you are doing your property settlement with that.
Mhm.
The fifth thing that I have, why it's important, is that make sure that your property, whatever property you have, and that you don't forget any of the property that you have, that it goes to the heirs that you want. You want to go to your children, grandchildren, and so on. Don't forget, you have in that drawer, in the dresser drawer in the spare bedroom that nobody uses, you have your father's pocket watch. Well, maybe you want that pocket watch to go to one of the grandchildren. Did you forget that pocket watch? So make sure you don't overlook or leave out some of those items that you want to bequeath or that you want to inherit to someone else. And just as a reminder, talking about inheriting and bequeathing and so on, you should have a will, and don't forget the will. Just make, a little check mark on that. That's outside of the,
And we're going to talk about that shortly, right?
We're going to talk about the intangibles and tangibles, but will is an important document. Just remember, inheriting property, giving the property when you die to someone who survives you is a will. And you should know what you're going to give away. If you don't have a scheme and don't know what you're giving away, the state's got a way of doing it. They'll take care of it. They'll give it to whoever they think it was. And you don't want the state to make that decision. You want to make that decision.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The sixth item that I have for you in terms of reason why you should take inventory is it will help you locate items that may have been long lost. And let me give you a personal experience. I promised someone a couple months ago that I would give them my extra laptop computer. And I looked where I thought I had the computer, and I could not find it. And I was totally embarrassed because I had made a promise. I couldn't keep the promise. And then lo and behold, I was looking for some Christmas decorations. And right by the box of Christmas decoration, what do I find? Voila! There is the computer, because I didn't know where it was. Perhaps I have so much stuff that I should go back to item number one. Do I really need it? And do I need to do the Kathy Garage thing to get rid of the things that I don't need? But item number 6 is it helps you locate items that you that you may not be thinking about and so forth.
Peter, let me clarify the garage part, because you mentioned it a couple of times. And for those of you who are not familiar with my programs, you may not know what he's talking about. I do a section called Garage Sale of the Home and Heart, and it is dealing with all the excess stuff that is in our surroundings and in our head. So when we talk about garage, when he talks about garage, he's referring to my program, Garage Sale of the Home and Heart. So just a little clarity.
Yeah, and those folks who have not had the benefit of that, if nothing else, take a look at that portion of Kathy's program. It'll clear your mind and it'll clear your garage. Okay, back to the reason number 7. Reason number 7 is to perhaps, and I'm doing this very cautiously, to verify the honesty of your spouse. It has not been unknown in the many mediations that I have that the other spouse is secreting, hiding some of the money, some of the assets, some of the belongings, because they don't want to share it with the other party. They want to keep it for themselves. Now, your divorce attorney should know what some of the techniques are. The gold that's hidden in under the bed, or the offshore bank account, and the cash that's stashed in the safety deposit box. You can do that. But if you have an idea as to where the money, what belongings there are in the family, it's going to be more difficult to hide and make sure that if you take that inventory, that potential mischief doesn't happen. So do that. So those are the reasons for the inventory. Now I hope everybody's inspired to do the inventory. How do I do an inventory? Simple. Get a notebook, a ledger pad, get a legal pad, a form, anything that you can kind of make notes on, an iPad. You don't have to be fancy. It's a straightforward, easy thing to do. So don't get overwhelmed with, spreadsheets and all of that other things. All right. So what do we inventory? We inventory tangible things. Those are the real things, and other things. So right now, let's talk about tangible things. And one easy way of doing an inventory of tangible things is, like they say, go for the low-hanging fruit. What's the low-hanging fruit? Those things that are of high value, that are of significance to you. May not be high value, but they are significant to you. So what's of high value? The real estate, real property, right? The house, the cottage, the rental properties, the B&Bs that you might own, the place in the Bahamas that you might own, maybe even the timeshare or so on. So the real properties that you own. Then think about cars, trucks, recreational vehicles, snowmobiles, watercraft, sailboats, powerboats. Sometimes the yacht that's parked in the harbor in Harbor Springs is worth more than the house is. So take a look, all of those items that we have, the vehicles.
And let me just say, for those of you who do not have yachts, you could also look at, there are some lawnmowers or tractors that you may not be aware of the value of, that may be worth checking out and finding what that value is. And if you don't know, and don't be overwhelmed by this, find someone who's good at finances. Peter and I both meet people who one party has been doing all the finances, the other party is not knowledgeable. If that's you, don't be overwhelmed by that. That's why we're working here on this, the inventory, so you can begin to get organized, and then you will get your experts and people to help you. So anyway.
Yeah, let me go off script a little bit in saying that you also talk about, don't go it alone. Have some help. Consult somebody who's a little bit more knowledgeable. I will guarantee you there's somebody in the family that's got their financial stuff together and they know how to do it, and consult with them a little bit if you're insecure or just want a little bit of help. But Kathy's absolutely right. The household furnishings, including the television, the garden tools, the snow blowers, and all of those things that maybe you don't remember. Especially if you're sitting at a mediation and you think, oh my God, what property do I own? And you get that brain freeze, and all of a sudden you forget that, gee, you've got the tools in the garage that are worth $10,000 that you use in your trade or something like that. And the other thing that's low-hanging fruit is your business.
Let me just jump in here because you're listing it. If you are in need of this workbook, I send it out for free as a download to help you get organized.
Absolutely, it's a good thing in preparation for negotiation. If you are at that point, that's one justification why take some time out to do your inventory. Now, if you are more of a, what can I say, type A personality, and you want to really go into detail and want to have a complete inventory of that, then you can do what I call a room-to-room inventory. And if you go visit Mr. Google, you remember Mr. Google? He has a home inventory checklist, which I have here in my little hand. And it has a sheet for the living room, and it includes everything from the sofa to the curtains and the blinds. There's a sheet for the family room that has everything from the television, and it goes on.
And there are different versions, so you don't have to get to that extreme. So
no, and you don't even have to use it. But if you really want a guide or something, I'm saying that you don't have to go it alone. You're not the first one to go through and make an inventory. It's been done for you. You've got a template out there. I would suggest you utilize that. It's simple. All you got to do is fill in the boxes, and you can go into detail. This one that I have here, it goes from the date purchased, the value of it, the brand, the serial number, depending upon how can I say intense you are in terms of doing that. So you can do a room by room checklist, and I think that that's one way of handling the tangible, those things that you can put your hands on, the tangible properties. Now, the intangible properties, it's kind of hard to list those. All we do is we list and gather the evidence of the intangible properties. What is the evidence of intangible properties? The evidence might be the stock certificates, the 401k, that paper that represents money. And think about it. The deed for the house, the deed for the farm, that represents value. That's an intangible. The passport maybe not represents money, but that's an intangible document that you would have. Loan documents, insurance policies. You want to have that piece of paper. You want to know where those are. Put that in part of your inventory. And I would suggest put that in your legacy box, put it together. And there's a whole discussion on what all of the individual documents are that you should have, why they're important. And that's another checklist for another day. Medical power of attorney. I talked already about the wills. You should make a will. And again, because I may not ever see any of you again, there are do-it-yourself wills for each particular state that you can fill in the blanks. Don't be intimidated by that. But especially now, at the time of the divorce, a lot of things are changing. Properties are shifting around. What's going to happen with the kids and so on? What do you really have? That's a good time to review your will. Not the topic for today, but just as a reminder. Health information.
Let me just pause here a minute, because I think the will is really important. Some judgment of divorces will list a change in the will, but some don't. So if it's not covered in your judgment of divorce, it's going to stand as it is. So you do want to make sure that you do a will, a brief one. I did one on my own. It's pretty brief, sent it out to my kids to make sure that things are designated where you want them to be designated and not left to your former spouse.
Yeah, think of it. That's the worst case scenario. The typical couple say, if I die, everything goes to my husband. Now, if you don't change that, you get divorced, he's going to present the will to the probate court. Everything goes to the husband. Mm-hmm. Don't want to do that. May not want to do that necessarily. Okay. We also want to get back to health information, your medications, doctors, and so on. And marriage license, good document to have. I don't know if that represents assets or not. And then ultimately, perhaps my least favorite document to have, the judgment of divorce. And that's going to be an important document in the future, again, to get loans and money and all sorts of things like that. So for you out there, you procrastinator, I have a simple, easy solution for you. If you don't want to go and do what I have just tried to inspire you to do, at least get your handy dandy, my visual aid here. This is my little cell phone. Spared no expense in buying that cell phone, and do what I call a 360 video of every room of the house. And you just take the camera and you just do 360 all the way around and do every room of the house. Mm-hmm. But remember, if you're going to do that, start at the absolute top, the attic, go all the way out down to the basement, go out to the garage, go out to the outbuildings. Don't forget the cottage. Don't forget the business. And do a 360. You can do that in 15 minutes to do even less.
Mhm.
So I've given you some ideas what to do if to insure your property, to make sure that you have your fair share in the divorce. And I think that if you're willing to do that, you will be a heck of a lot better off than if you don't do the inventory. That's the little puzzle piece for the ultimate game plan.
Mhm.
Now, in my experience, I have found that 1%, 5% of the people may do this. You should not be overwhelmed. You shouldn't be frightened in this. Like anything else in this divorce thing, you take them one step at a time. Don't be overwhelmed. You know the proverbial elephant we always talk about, one bite at a time and so on. The same thing works. Now, no more excuses. Go and do it.
Well, let me just jump in there. We don't have any questions. I know you have questions, but some of you are shy in asking them. But I also want to talk about the peace of mind and the empowerment that we feel when we do take the inventory, when we do know. And if you're worried about it not being good news, well, at least you'll be honest and have it in front of you and you'll know where to begin. So it's such an important task. And the beginning of the year, this is a great time to do it. And it can be as simple or complex as you want it.
Kathy, let me build on that a little bit. In all of the classes that I teach, one of the things we do is we budget and all that other business. And we find that people don't want to confront their debt because they're afraid to, that it's going to be a bad picture and so on. Likewise, people don't want to do an inventory in terms of determining what their net worth is because they think it's going to be a sad, ugly situation. And just my experience again has been that 95% of the situations are never as ugly or as dire as people make them out to be. If you know what you have, it'll be better than what you think it has, what you think you have. And if you know what you have, at least you will be comfortable in knowing what you have. We're always afraid of the unknown. And unless you take that inventory of your finances, it's an unknown topic. So rather than take the Valium, do your inventory.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Thank you for your time. Great information. And Peter, would you come back maybe next week or next time and whenever suits your calendar and discuss more about the needs of our financial, how to get organized and those financial strategies for us?
There are multiple pieces of this puzzle. And I'm glad you're breaking it down in terms of not trying to do it all at once because we can't do the proper service to each particular item. And it just is overwhelming. And especially for those folks who have, whether the wife has been keeping the books and paying the bills and knows where all of that is, or the husband is doing that. I find that so often after the divorce or during the divorce, it's like, the headlights in the eyes that, gee, what do I do now? Mm-hmm. So take them piece by piece, consult with people who know what it is. And if you are strapped for resources or you don't know where to go, it's Kathy Beatty at
it's Divorce Support Anonymous. .com actually. And I love what you said that. And I know we're running a little long here, but in this book right here, I tell about my financial journey, I guess. And in the beginning, I was overwhelmed. I had not handled the family finances. So what I did is I got a chip clip, one of those chip clips that you put on bags of chips. And when the bills came in, I put them in order by date, or something similar to that. And when I got paid, I went to my chip clip and I started writing those checks because I needed an organization system that would work for me. It doesn't matter how primitive it is. What matters is that it works for you. And maybe that's a good topic, Peter, that we discuss is are those strategies, ways that we can handle our money. There's different budgets, and we could talk another half hour on that. But don't be discouraged, be encouraged, because a step at a time, you will get to where you want to go if you're doing it intentionally. Thank you, Peter, very much.
You're welcome, Kathy. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you. And we'll see you next Friday night, Facebook Live. And this is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous. See you then.